Obviously, I knew it was a potential. When potential comes to reality, you deal with it. So my thoughts are, I think Henrik's been a great player for us, been a great leader. Last year, I thought there was a lot of nights he was still one of our best players. Certainly an outstanding leader on a day-to-day basis. His example in practice. He's one of the best warriors I've been around. So obviously there's potential to feel that loss. Now, how much you feel it totally 100% depends on how ready other guys are to fill those roles. How ready are guys ready to step into those roles, both on the ice and from a leadership standpoint. And I don't have that answer. We'll prove that answer on a day-to-day basis here. I think we've got a bunch of guys who are in a spot that I believe they are ready to fill those roles. But what I believe doesn't matter. What we go out and prove is what matters. Obviously Hank went through a spot last year where he didn't practice the whole second half of the year. And when I saw that, I knew there was potential for this today, because you just can't keep doing that. It's one thing to do it for 2 months, another thing to do it for a season. So, I'm not necessarily surprised. I think we're in as good a position as we have been in terms of a bunch of young guys ready to take a step. Now, are they ready to? They'll prove it here over the next number of weeks.
Pragmatically, who are some of the young players is it as an CU slotting into center? Like, what are some of the changes that you're going to institute?
What was that word?
Pragmatically.
Okay, I got to make sure. Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
There you go. Impressive.
And as a Ferris State grad, I knew what the word was. I just want to make sure you knew. First of all, I just think it's a whole bunch of guys. It's not one player by any stretch. I've been asked lots about Larks. Well, Larks has had a huge role in this team already. Just to think that his role is going to be significantly greater, I think isn't true. Within his role, he's got to continue to take the next step. Certainly at the center ice position, that probably leads to more time for Nielsen, who I think certainly can handle it. Leads for more time. If AA earns that spot as a center, it certainly leads to more opportunity for him. But I wouldn't just say it's the centers. I think it's everybody. I've talked about our team and the chance for us to have success this year that we'd like to have is if a bunch of guys take a step. Can Larks take the next step? Can Mantha take the next step? AA Bertuzzi's a full-time player now. Can he take the next step? Can some of the young players that you saw in the prospects tournament step in and help our team be a better hockey team? And then beyond that, can guys keep pushing their careers to the next level? I challenged a bunch of our players to get better this summer. I think the summer's a time you can get way better at stuff, and I think we got a bunch of guys who care. And the one thing about this league now is guys continue to work on their games. Mike Green, I know a year ago had a skating coach for most of the summer. Obviously, this summer was different for him, but do other guys come back way better? I thought Nyquist looked great today, so we'll see. It'll be a whole bunch of guys that have to fill those spots.
Non-Henrik Zetterberg related, anything that stand out to you in the scrimmage today, in the practices, and health-wise, did you come out of it okay? Did we miss anything?
We had a little bit of, we'll see tomorrow. We had a couple guys leave the ice. Marty Firk and Joe Valena both left the ice, didn't finish practice, so we'll see where they're at come tomorrow morning. I haven't talked to our trainers other than that, so I don't know any more information. It was nothing major, but you just never know. Obviously, it's a time of year where there could be some little nagging stuff. The one thing we don't want to do is we don't want a little nagging thing to then turn into a long-term thing, so we just got to be careful that way. I thought the competitive level was extremely high. As I said, I thought, in each group, I thought there was guys that really competed at helm, and Nielsen and Nyquist led the way in that group. Boy, did they compete hard. This group here, AA and Vanek and Glennie and those guys, Witter, I thought they competed extremely hard. You watch this morning, I thought Larks' group was excellent as well. You watch the scrimmage here today, and Thomas Vanek makes lots of plays. That stood out to me. It's hard. It's hard to create scoring chances if you don't score in transition. So once people are above you, it's real hard. If you're not an absolute superstar to create time and space, hard to create scoring chances. But overall, I thought it was good, Dave. Good start.
What stood out to you about the Zadina Rasmussen line in the scrimmage, and as far as them going against the NHL competition, how'd they look?
I think it's a hard scrimmage for those guys because they had practiced, and that practice was, I would say, if you asked the guys, was extremely hard. It was a ton of battle stuff, and I just think it's a hard scrimmage, you know. I think it's a good lesson. You got to keep grinding. I thought they grounded out. I thought they continued to try to do the right stuff, but it's hard to really stand out when you come off a 60-minute practice as hard as it was. So we'll keep watching.
Do you think you needed, your initial thoughts, I mean, do you think you need to name a new captain here relatively soon, or do you just, or go with the 3As, or what are your initial impression?
It's something that we'll keep discussing internally here, and certainly by game one we'll have that decision made, but it's not something I want to comment on now. We'll discuss internally and decide what's the best avenue for us.
As disappointed as the organization is and Red Wing fans everywhere, was it at least important maybe to get this issue resolved and not have it be kind of lingering Henrik's future?
Well, I think anything in life, knowns are better than unknowns. I think unknowns can lead to stress, and we might as well know what the situation is, so we know exactly what we got. You know, one thing I think as professional athletes and as a coach, certainly, you always worry about what guys are available to you. Period. So, you know, I don't think it changed the fact that the difference in our success still has to be guys taking steps, and it's a whole bunch of guys, and a lot of times that doesn't happen, but I think we got a whole bunch of realistic steps guys can take, and if they take it, I think we can be a real good hockey team.
Do you anticipate Henrik being around here and with your club going through the preseason, or? You
know, I haven't talked to Henrik about that. I probably wouldn't anticipate it a whole bunch. I know that certainly he doesn't. The last thing he wants to be is a distraction. I know that for sure. So, you know, I haven't talked to him about it though.